Alright, welcome. I want to talk about end times events, the end of the world, and I want to talk about how I first met Jesus when I was 19. About um, I was reading the Bible for the first time, and I was reading in Revelation about um, the judgment, the lake of fire, all kinds of scary things, and I felt all of a sudden this heavy weight upon me, and I felt so scared. I had fear. And in my fear, I reached out to God for mercy, and I just reached my hand up, and I said, help. I put my hand up real high, help. And then this supernatural, physical, spiritual hand grabbed my hand and shook it really hard. Like if I shook your hand, we had like a grip contest. It would almost be that much. But at that moment, I went at about 2, 3, 4 in the morning. I went and woke up my grandma from sleep and told her it's the end of the world. And I didn't know why I said that. I didn't understand what I was saying, but now for the first time, just now while I'm making this video, it makes sense. The end of the world. It was the end of the world for me. The world had come to an end for me, and I entered into New Jerusalem as adopted child of God. So in the book of Revelation, it talks about falling stars from heaven. It talks about lightning proceeding from the throne, thunder. It talks about men blaspheming God and not repenting of their sins. It talks about all sorts of catastrophes. The sun giving bursts of fire to the earth, plagues, soldiers that look like locusts with lion hair and horse bodies. I don't know. Frogs jumping out of pits. So all of these things are allegorical, and these things occur in our life, in our spiritual life. Like when you get struck by lightning or thunder slams into the ground, thunder comes real near you. I don't know how thunder works, but if you get struck with lightning, it's kind of like a shock. First of all, it's a shock. Electricity, God is called El in the Bible. Well, electricity is like spiritual in a sense. And to be shocked by the electricity of God, it's like when you're in the emergency room and you get shocked with that thing. 1, 2, check, or clear. So getting electrical shock from God. Lightning is when like God brings revelation to you. Thunder is the same thing. It's a wake up call. God brings it. He shocks your system. And the stars falling from the earth. The stars are really just distant suns, so they're real bright. When they're just as close to the sun, they'd be just as bright as the sun, I believe. So a star is a bright, revelatory thing coming at you. And the earth represents your lower nature, your fallen nature, your alignment with the fallen world. When the earth dies and gets crashed into by these bright lights, these bright spiritual truths, you become a new person. You see with different eyes, and your higher self becomes the higher nature of Christ becomes one with you. But then there's that old nature that refuses to die, that blasphemes God, that old nature. That's happens in the Revelation too, where men blaspheme God because they were scorched by the heat. They were scorched by the Holy Spirit fire baptism, but they were stubborn. So that's part of your old nature that remains and doesn't want to die. Can we enter into that perfection? Yeah, we can. Revelation 22 says there's a new earth, and the remaining subjects or citizens within the earth are all cast into the lake of fire. They're done. And that represents the last parts of us being burnt off by the fire of God. So, well, you're going to have a, an understanding or an overview of the book of Revelation to understand what I'm saying, but if you do, this is for those people. As the Spirit leads. So, think about these things. And the mark of the beast, the image of the beast. You are the image of the beast in your fallen nature. You are the mark of the beast. Um, and the chip in your hand or your head, that just symbolizes what you believe and what you do with your hand. What you do with your hands, what you're doing in your life. And those who would not bow down to the mark of the beast got beheaded. This is an interesting mystery. Now, if you're not going to bow down to the mark of the beast or the image of the beast, which is your fallen nature, you will not yield to your fallen nature, you will get beheaded. Now, to get beheaded, the head represents authority. This is the temple. This is heaven. So when your head gets chopped off, you have no more head. Then Christ puts his head on top of your body, so he's operating you. So when you get born again, you got beheaded. Or at least when you began to live for Jesus and understood what you were doing. So, and the abomination of desolation, that represents when you're horrified. That's what an abomination is. It's a horrifying thing. And desolation means emptiness. So if you're horrified that you are empty, you're horrified that you have no presence of God in you, you realize that you're alone, without hope, without God in the world, and then God places that hope within you, and then you call out for him to come live in the temple. So there's all kinds of mystical things. The book of Revelation is a summary of all the prophecies in the Old Testament that pertain to the end times, the end events, the end of the fallen nature within you. So this stuff's all metaphorical, analytical, whatever you call it. But will it happen in real life? Yeah, I think so. I think so. A manifestation of what happens in the spiritual realms happens in the physical realm. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say now. I'm probably just gonna call this video like a summary of revelation, metaphorical revelation. I don't know. Anyway, God's good. God is awesome. Direct your attention to God today. Yep. Focus our attention on God so he becomes enlarged. And realize that there's a little temple in your head. It's kind of like some of those science fiction movies where there's an alien living in your head, controlling your body. Well, he's at the right hand. Christ is at the right side of the throne. So God the Father would be right here. And imagine God living in your head. And everywhere you go, look through his eyes. Be aware of what he sees, what he's doing. And Christ sits at the right hand side. That's the right side of the brain, which many say is used for creativity, spirituality, artistic things of that nature. The left side of the brain is analytical, logical, numbers and facts and scientific. So Christ is at the right side of the brain. When Christ said cast the net to the right side of the boat to catch the 153 fish, he was talking about things like that too. But about the brain. So yeah. And the kings of the east coming, that represents the kings of the lower nature coming to surround the state of Israel, surround God's city, which is you. That's surround you to take you out, while fire comes down from heaven and devours the enemy before they're able to get you. So all this stuff is really, really cool. A lot of people are afraid of the book of Revelation, and the things that you fear are demonically inspired. The devil wants you to fear the things that will bring you into liberty. He wants you to fear the things that will once you're not afraid of them, you will be set free. Once you're not afraid of them, you will understand the real interpretation of what they say and realize it's a good thing. The lake of fire is something you want to jump in right now in the spiritual realm and burn off all the junk, all the demons die, because your body represents the earth. Your soul represents the city of God, and your spirit represents the mountain with the throne on top of the mountain, Mount Zion. All right. Well, God in me loves you all. Break some bread. Share some messages. You're all awesome.